You want to sit? Maybe you can sit. 'Cause you're going to be uncomfortable. It's going to take a long while.
All right. Thank you.
Put that over there. Somewhere. Yeah, it's not bothering
Sorry.
me.
On your mark.
That's all right. Wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I think they beat us, right? We only had 10 at the time. But then again, we had 2 groups. So I guess you get them all together. All right. So this is your pig. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the cardiovascular system. So some of the blood vessels is what I'm going to go through first. Okay. So first of all, this blood vessel right here next to the trachea is your left common carotid. Right next to it, a little bit pushed out of the way because I've been doing dissections on it, is your left internal jugular vein. And in between is going to be this kind of whitish structure, and that's the vagus nerve, okay? These are all the ones on the left, but the ones on the right look exactly the same, okay? So you can see that's the vein. It's a little bit thicker than the other one. This is the artery, the common carotid artery. And then you can see the nerve, the vagus nerve, right in there. See that? Okay.
The video on my phone sucks.
Okay. The thing, this is your trachea, so that's the thing right in the middle. Right here, this is your internal jugular. This is the external jugular. Same thing over here. You can see it in there. You can see the external jugular. Okay. All right. The external jugular, internal jugular. And then some of the veins from the arms, the subclavian veins, are going to come together and go into the superior vena cava, which is this one right here. Superior vena cava, right here. Okay, it's going to go into the right atrium of the heart. Okay, so this is the right atrium up here. This is the right ventricle. This is the left ventricle and the left atrium. Okay, in the pig, you're going to have this vessel right here that you see most anteriorly. It's going to be the pulmonary trunk. Okay, remember that's the pulmonary trunk. Okay, always the one that you see first.
Let me see.
Okay, pulmonary trunk is always the one you see first. Okay, the one behind it is the aorta. Okay, I know it's a little brown, but that's the aorta back there. Okay, and you can see that it has one vessel and 2 that come off of it. Okay, the 2 vessels that come off of it are the brachiocephalic trunk and the left subclavian. Left subclavian goes up. Okay, this is one of the ribs, and over. Okay, here would be the axillary. Okay, so this is the axillary artery, and then over here in the arm, it now becomes the brachial artery. Okay, so that pink one that you see right there is the brachial artery. And in case you were curious, this little thing right here is the brachial plexus. Remember the brachial plexus you talked about last year?
Do we
Right
have to know
there.
all of them for this?
Not the brachial plexus, but the vessels I mentioned, yes. Okay? All right, so the aorta here then continues down. Okay, behind, that's your thoracic aorta. Okay, right there, that big one. It's the thoracic aorta. Until it leaves the diaphragm, and it goes now after the diaphragm, right, it's in the abdominal cavity. It becomes the abdominal aorta. So the abdominal aorta is this one down here. Okay, so this is the abdominal aorta down here, and right next to it, this is the rectum. Excuse me, we'll move the rectum out of the way. Is the inferior vena cava. The inferior vena cava brings the blood back up all the way to the heart, and this is the inferior vena cava near the heart. Okay, do you see that? Okay. Now, the other blood vessels right here, this is the kidney. Okay. So this will be the right kidney, this will be the left kidney. Okay, you can see the artery there. Do you see that artery? That's the renal artery. Really pretty.
Which one?
The one that's pink right there,
okay.
going to the kidney, that's the renal artery. And this is the renal vein. So you can see that renal vein right there.
Okay.
Okay, so the renal artery and the renal vein. Those are good ones. I mean, these are going to be better on the model than on the pig, but you can see it so clearly, I thought I'd point it out, okay? So you see the renal vein, and then the renal artery is down here. Okay. Now, this is so cool that when it splits, you can even see it down there. Okay. I'm gonna move up. When the artery splits, you see that artery splitting right there? Remember, those are the common iliacs right here. Super cool, yes? All right. So these are your umbilical arteries. Umbilical arteries. Okay. These are the two umbilical arteries. This is the bladder in the middle, the urinary bladder. And then right here, that's your umbilical vein, which is part of your umbilical cord. Okay, the other part, half of your umbilical vein is right there. Okay, so in fetal development, that delivered oxygenated blood
And
to the
this
fetus.
is the intestines?
These are the intestines, yes. We'll go over that in just a second.
Okay.
Okay? Now, let me go respiratory system, starting with the, obviously, it's nostrils, okay, which lead into the nasal cavity. Okay, nasal cavity in down to the nasal pharynx. Do you see this opening right there? Okay. That's the nasal pharynx. Okay, this is the epiglottis. Obviously, this is the tongue. It's more of the digestive system, but whatever. Epiglottis, okay? After the epiglottis, the air goes into the hole, which is called the glottis, and go to the larynx. This is the larynx, okay? From the larynx to the trachea, okay? From the trachea, it goes to the bronchi, primary, secondary, tertiary bronchi, and then to the lungs. Let me point out the lungs, okay? This is the right lung, okay? Bad time to call, okay? Superior lobe, middle lobe, and inferior lobe of the right lung. So the right lung has 3 lobes. Left lung has 2 lobes. The superior lung, superior lobe, and the inferior lobe. Okay? Then the diaphragm. To go over that one more time, this is the diaphragm right here. Okay? That's the diaphragm.
It's very hot in here today.
Oh, you know, we have all this electricity and right around me. This is, okay, so right behind, let me go through, because that's the respiratory system. Right behind the trachea is going to be the esophagus. Okay, so this is the esophagus. Okay, so notice it's very similar in color with all of the rest of the stuff, but this one's round and this one's flat. Okay, so the one that's flat, that doesn't stay round, is going to be the esophagus. That goes all the way down past, again, the diaphragm into the stomach. Okay, so this is the stomach. The stomach has the spleen attached. This is the spleen. It looks kind of like a tongue. Okay, this is the this is the stomach. Okay, the stomach is going to have this little area right here, which is really hard. That's the pylorus. If you look inside, it kind of looks star-shaped because that's where, right? It's a sphincter like this. This here is the duodenum. And right next to the duodenum, and you shouldn't confuse this with the spleen, this is the spleen, right, is the pancreas. So you see this stuff that looks like chewed meat right in there? That stuff? That's your pancreas. Okay, so pancreas goes up right here and then all the way down here. So that's the head of the pancreas and then the tail. All the way over here. So that's the pancreas. In some, it might be better than others. This one is a little bit like dark in color. It might be lighter in some other ones. But this is the duodenum. See, it's right next to the pancreas. The duodenum, if you follow that, this is all small intestine, right? The duodenum is the first part of the small intestine. If you follow the intestine, you're going to notice that the intestines have all of this really cool stuff. You see how it's all like stripes, right? Looks kind of like a sunburst. All of that is mesentery, okay? So that is mesentery.
When it's
Okay.
open like that.
This, you see those little lines? That's connective tissue, and it's mesentery. You can see it's almost transparent. You see that? You see my finger on the other side? Yeah, you can see that, right? Right. So that's mesentery, and it holds basically the intestines. It has all the blood vessels for the intestine and keeps everything in its place. Okay. See there, and more, so on. Okay. Now, when you get to the end of the small intestine, we're going to go into the large intestine.
Is that blinding you?
No,
Yeah, okay, good.
Yeah, how come mine doesn't?
I put on my flash.
wait, I had this trouble before. Finding the cecum. Where did it go? Here it is. Okay. So then your small intestine goes all the way here until it reaches the end of the small intestine and it becomes the large intestine. So that's right here. Wait, pointer. That's right here. Okay, so this is the end of the small intestine. You can see that right there. So that's going to be the ileocecal valve right in there. Inside. Obviously, the valve is not on the outside. This here is called the cecum. So this part, this little pouchy area right here, on the other side of this is called the cecum. Okay? This hanging down is the appendix.
That small thing?
Yep, that little thing right here is the appendix. And then this here is the colon. And in pigs, they have a colon called a spiral colon. In humans, the colon is up, ascending, transverse, descending, and then sigmoid colon. So we have it a different shape. We frame the small intestine, theirs doesn't. Okay? So that's the colon. This is the rectum, which we mentioned before, obviously. And then there's like stuff coming out of it, very appropriate. It's the anus right there on the other side of its tail. I don't know why they cut its tail. Right? So then the urinary system, okay? You have the kidney, okay? And then you have the ureter, okay? And if I am going to be grading your papers, the ureter, U-R-E-T-E-R, I don't allow for any misspellings of that word because between that one and urethra, U-R-E-T-H-R-A, which is not that one. You want to make sure you spell those correctly, okay?
And where's the urethra?
Urethra is not on the pig. We didn't dissect that out on the pig.
Okay.
We would have to cut through here to find it.
Okay.
Okay, so we didn't do that. So that's the right kidney, right ureter, and then left kidney, and where is it? It's here. Left ureter. Okay. Urinary bladder.
Can you hold it up?
Ureter and urinary bladder.
I'm so hungry.
Kidney. Okay? All right, let me see. Am I missing anything?
No.
I don't think so. Did I say liver? Liver and gallbladder? I think I didn't say the gallbladder. It's
So the big
gallbladder.
brown thing is the liver?
Big brown thing is all that is liver. And then this here is the gallbladder.
Okay.
Okay? Let me see. What else? Okay, I think that's about it, right? Oh, and there's a thymus. I wonder if the thymus is on here somewhere. I don't know if the person took it off. Yeah, they might have taken it off. The thymus is a little thing that sits right here. It looks kind of like chewed meat also. Maybe it's this.
Is that going to be on the test?
It might be. Like that. If it's there, it's the thymus. Yes? Okay. It's there, and there's a pointer, looks something like that. It's thymus. Okay. All right, so that's it for this. And let me go to the other one, which has all of the pins in it for the